Table, reimagining diaspora engagement during and beyond COVID-19, challenges and opportunities, and it will be live on both sides of the story Monday the 15th of June 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. plus more after news at 5. Brought to you by Grace Kennedy Money Services, the home of Bill Express, FX Trader and Western Union. That's a live broadcast of the Jamaica Diaspora Northeast Diaspora Day Roundtable on both sides of the story, plus more after major news at 5, right here on Power 106 FM, Monday, June 15.
Jamaica land we love. Jamaica land we love. Come fall in love with Jamaica. Yeah, yeah. Paradise land of wood and water. Come fall in love with Jamaica. Yeah, yeah. See the beauty and the as I lay here on the beach, catching the coolness of the breeze, feeling the sand beneath my feet. I reminisce about the past children games in the schoolyard. Dandy Shandy and the boys, them would push cat. Some days it feels like life hard, but you have to keep the faith and just stand tall. Hold up your head like Granny Nanny and some sharp. Recognize no one no better than ya. Fall in love with Jamaica. Ooh yeah. Paradise land of wood and water. Ooh. Fall in love with Jamaica. See the beauty and the culture.
Our family and friends are a big part of who we are. They are our biggest supporters and confidants, and our source of bellyfuls of laughter.
And when it comes to keeping you connected, Western Union is here to make it safer and easier with their digital services. Now your family and friends overseas can send you money without leaving home by using the Western Union app or westernunion.com. Just visit gkmsonline.com to register and share your banking details with your sender to start receiving funds directly to your bank account, so you don't have to leave home to collect. Grace Kennedy Money Services, home of Bill Express, FX Trader and Western Union, doing our part to help you stay safe and connected to the ones you love.
Jamaica land we love. Come fall in love with Jamaica. Yeah, yeah. Paradise land of wood and water. Come fall in love with Jamaica. Yeah, yeah. See the beauty. Jamaica land we love.
The Jamaica Diaspora Northeast will host a Diaspora Day Roundtable, reimagining diaspora engagement during and beyond COVID-19, challenges and opportunities, and it will be live on both sides of the story Monday the 15th of June 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. plus more after news at 5. Brought to you by Grace Kennedy Money Services, the home of Bill Express, FX Trader and Western Union. That's a live broadcast of the Jamaica Diaspora Northeast Diaspora Day Roundtable on both sides of the story, plus more after major news at 5, right here on Power 106 FM, Monday, June 15.
Fall in love with Jamaica. Ooh yeah. Ooh yeah. Jamaica land we love. Jamaica land we love. Come fall
launch of the week, the start of Diaspora Week 2020, and Power 106 FM in partnership with the Jamaica Diaspora Northeast, led by Dr. Karen Dunkley, hosting this very, very significant round table, Diaspora Day round table. Tomorrow is Diaspora Day. Tomorrow is also Family Remittance Day. And the theme for this Jamaica Diaspora Northeast USA Diaspora Day Roundtable is reimagining diaspora engagement during and beyond COVID-19, challenges and opportunities, education, health, economic empowerment, development, etc., etc., etc. We are delighted to have joining us now in this segment a couple of key individuals, and we want to acknowledge before we hand over to her a lady who is quite an ideator. She is very well known and pretty active in the diaspora. She's an ideation leader and managing director of the Futures Forum. She is the brain behind the celebration of Caribbean American Heritage Month, which is being celebrated in this month of June. We're talking about Dr. Claire A. Nelson, and we'll be handing over to Dr. Nelson in just a moment. And in not too long from now, we'll also be hearing from Senator Don Webby. Senator Don Webby is the Group Chief Executive Officer of Grace Kennedy Limited. He has been serving in that position since the 1st of July 2011. Prior to this appointment, Senator Webby was Group Chief Operating Officer, a position he took up when he rejoined the company in 2009. He has not only been serving Grace Kennedy, he has been serving Jamaica in his capacity as a senator. He has served as a minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, and we'll hear from him shortly. In the meantime, let's hand you over to your moderator for this Diaspora Day Roundtable, Dr. Claire Nelson.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening as we wind down and get into drive time hour here in the northeast part of the United States of America, as well as in the Caribbean, for those of you who still have to go up to work. We are so delighted to be part of this conversation on the diaspora movement that has been in play for, I would say, as long as there's been a diaspora since Garvey came to America, but certainly in this new dispensation since the founding of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Advisory Council and the brutal quote-unquote elections that we went through here to choose a representative. This is indeed a fine hour. As you heard, June is National Caribbean American Heritage Month. It's something that as a Jamaican, I'm proud to say I helped to herald and push forward. Just briefly, we began the work back in 1999 with the Clinton administration. We worked with Congresswoman Barbara Lee in 2004 to draft the resolution and bill, which eventually passed the House in 2005. We got support from Senator Chuck Schumer from New York to get it through the Senate on February 14th of 2006. And after much pressure, including, I must add, a Jamaican who was a former White House employee, a Jamaican military guy who had actually left Jamaica at 3 years old. He was my inside person. We're able to push the Bush administration then in 2006 to get the proclamation launched, so June 6, 2006. So here we are 15 years later, and I'm sort of really happy that despite the pain and suffering, those of you Jamaicans around the country, from California to Boston to Charleston to South Florida to New York, who have been part of this movement, know why it was important to have us here. this organization around the country allows us as now to be a force to reckon with. The census, for example, reaching out to us to ensure that Caribbean people are counted, working closely with State Department, which we're doing right now, to revise and review their agenda, the U.S. Caribbean 2020 agenda. I hope all diaspora people listening will begin to participate in this policy stuff and basically leveraging the opportunities of COVID. Yes, I know it's a terrible thing. It's happening to all of us. But you know, Marcus Garvey has taught us that we must always take opportunity wherever we find it. And certainly we have come together to take opportunity as a diaspora, to use this platform in new and unimaginable ways to connect so that we can serve Jamaica, land we love. I always like to start by reminding us why some of us do what we do. I think some of us drank that Kool-Aid when we sang the second verse that says, stir response to duty's call, strengthen us the weak to cherish, give us vision lest we perish. And so we have traveled with our 5-year-old or 10-year-olds or 6th form view of this Jamaica land we love that we might have had 20 years ago, 40 years ago, and we still remain intent and invest in our capital. I'm calling it Diaspora First Capital to give us some similar language. So Diaspora First Capital is financial capital, intellectual capital, relationship capital, social capital, and technological capital in the betterment of Jamaica 2030. And so as we go forward in this afternoon, I'm just excited that we're being joined and supported, first of all, by Grace Kennedy, one of the premier brands born and bred in Jamaica, where all our neighbors are buried. Many of us have grown up on eating things that we no longer eat. I must say that, like, you know, bully beef and them kind of things. But we certainly still drink the tropical rhythms and other things. So we're delighted that they're supporting us by ensuring we have this platform. Thanks to Power 106 for its continuing investment as well through the regular show that Durban does every Saturday morning. We really appreciate the opportunity to connect in a very real way. So, folks, we're going to jump right in. I'm going to turn over to Durban, who introduces the senator, but just want to make sure we're clear of our purpose today. It's not just about, you know, talking about how good things have been, how organized we are. We're focused on reimagining the future of Jamaica. We have 10 years to Vision 2030, and whether or not COVID or hurricane or other crisis come, we're focused on using that vision as a lodestar for where we might want to go and how we might want to organize differently to get there. And so in this, first of all, presentation with one of the leading private sector conglomerates, right? We're going to get a taste of what one of the private sector person who also happens to be in service as a senator. So he has two hats, right? Is saying about what's happening in Jamaica from the company, as well as from his vantage point as senator. And from that, we'll come back and have a robust discussion about the smart future we want to ensure happens for Jamaica. So without further ado, Durban, could you please introduce our esteemed guest, Senator the Honorable Don Webby.
Well, I did want to give Senator Webby one of those lengthy introductions, and so I kept it brief earlier on just to get that out of the way initially. But suffice it to say that Senator Webby continues to serve Jamaica and Grace Kennedy, as he likes to quote another of the outstanding servants of Jamaica and Grace Kennedy, who would say, what is good for Jamaica is good for Grace Kennedy, and what is good for Grace Kennedy is good for Jamaica. Words of the great Carlton Alexander. And Senator Don Webby continues to exude that kind of quality, and it continues to form the basis on which Grace Kennedy Group does what it continues to do.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Durwell. Thanks a lot for your kind words. And Dr. Clear, I really appreciated your opening comments. They meant a lot. So let me start off, colleagues, my brothers and sisters in the diaspora, and those of you who are joining me on the roundtable discussion here. It is really great to connect with all of you this afternoon. The truth is, I feel especially humble and honored to have been asked by the global diaspora, Jamaica, Northeast and Southeast region to speak on a topic that is so very critical at this time. I also want to say a special thanks to the head of the regions, Dr. Alan Cunningham and Dr. Karen Dunkley, who I said hello earlier to, and a special Jamaican big up to all the leaders of the councils in other parts of the world. I understand that in addition to other parts of the US, we have diaspora representatives from Canada and the UK online. I want to especially mention Nyla. I'm not going to try and pronounce your last name, who was actually a participant in the GK's Birthright program. Nyla, I want to say on behalf of Grace Kennedy, we are extremely proud on your contribution that you are making as a member of the diaspora, and we consider you as a part of the Grace Kennedy family. So again, it is my honor to be here. I wish for you and your families health, safety, and peace during these unprecedented times. I'm just going to share some PowerPoint slides with you now. Let me just make sure I can get it done quickly. Okay, are you seeing the slides?
Yes, yes.
Okay, one minute there. Okay. So my second title on my presentation is Winds of Change. And I must say that I'm a product of Bob Marley. I grew up in that era. And I thought I'd start off by quoting Bob in terms of what is happening in the world today. And it says, until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance than the color of his eye. And you can say the rest. And that's a song, that's a speech by Haile Selassie, later sung by Bob Marley. Another song, which is a favorite of mine by Bob, that's so much trouble in the world, so much trouble in the world. Bless my eyes this morning, just sun is on the rise again. You know, when I was asked to speak at this diaspora conference, I found it very intriguing in terms of the topic that we are going to discuss this afternoon. Reimagine. And you know, that's not a word that is often used, but it is such a significant word in today's world, where it focuses on change of how can we improve, reconceptualizing, revisioning, and I find that to be very powerful. And I want to congratulate the members who came up with the theme for this afternoon. But when I thought about some more in terms of coming out this morning, sometimes it takes a crisis for one to reimagine the future, both personally and professionally. Can you imagine last year, this time at the conference, we were all on the patio of the new Grace Kennedy corporate headquarters, really celebrating the function and having a real good time. And you would see that we were, a number of the members of the diaspora, our brothers and sisters, were actually doing the latest dance in Jamaica by our ambassador Ding Dong. So I saw a couple of you doing the yin yang or the flary or fling your shoulder. And I just enjoyed the happiness and the togetherness of that night. So one of the things that I'm very proud of coming out of the last diaspora conference was that there was some amount of consensus around a diaspora policy. And as Dr. Clare said, if you're going to have a clear vision, a clear strategy, you must have a policy driving that vision and that strategy. And I always say to my team here, quoting Helen Keller on a weekly basis, literally, Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. When you look at the diaspora policy, I believe, colleagues, my friends, that this should actually form the basis of how we're going to reimagine the diaspora going forward. And it's some very important points that we have here, I think. Enhanced service delivery to the diaspora, very, very important, promoting human capital exchanges, return, and integration of the diaspora, optimizing diaspora investment, trade, and advocacy, promoting wellness. How profound is that? Profounding wellness and safety of our diaspora. You'll also recall me saying from time to time, what gets measured gets done. It's all good to have a policy, but we have to measure how we're doing against that policy. So I want to share this slide with you. This is my latest update that I have. The policy was tabled as a green paper on March 27, 2020 in the Senate and in the lower house on March 31st, 2020. From there, the public will be able to comment on the document once it is posted on the website of the House of Parliament. And of course, we move through the bureaucracy from the green to white paper. We're going to have to prepare a cabinet submission, providing an update on the wider consultation, and then prepare another ministry paper for tabling in Parliament as a white paper. But I'm happy to say this afternoon that we are actually making good progress, I would say, in terms of implementing the diaspora policy. As I said before, my colleagues, this should form the basis of us moving forward in terms of reimagining the diaspora going forward. So the world has changed, The world has changed. Can you imagine, and let me see if my mathematics is right, but 96 days ago, the World Health Organization on March 11, 2020, actually declared a pandemic of COVID-19. And things has moved so quickly that has changed the world. It has affected 215 countries, 7.9 million cases worldwide, 430,000 deaths, and it has been devastating to the world. Happily, with great balance, we are now seeing a gradual reopening of the UK, USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. I would caution everyone, I'm not a health professional, but we have to be extremely, extremely careful in terms of balancing the economic welfare and the health of our society. And I'm ready reading through the press that there seem to be some spikes of the COVID-19 virus in a number of states. I think I heard 22 states in the United States of America. So Jamaica pre-COVID, we were really, really on a roll. We were all upbeat. Our public debt was moving in the right direction. We had 19 consecutive quarters of real GDP growth. The unemployment was the lowest in 40 years at 7.3%. Our stock exchange was recognized as a top performer by Bloomberg. Consumer confidence was elevated at all-time highs. Our net international reserve was the highest since independence of $3.1 billion. So pre-COVID, the Jamaican economy was doing well. And some of you, or most of you, I hope, would recall where I was really encouraging our brothers and sisters from the diaspora. There's never a better time to invest in Jamaica. And I'm still going to take that position this afternoon. Where there's a crisis, there's an opportunity. So the impact on the Jamaican economy has been significant. We have not escaped it at all. We have had 617 cases in Jamaica, 10 deaths, and 410 recoveries. I think if we're benchmarking against the world per capita, and even with our peers in the Caribbean, Jamaica has done extremely, extremely well. And the WHO has actually recognized us publicly in terms of how we have managed the COVID-19 crisis. Having said that, our borders have been closed. We have lost significant tax revenues, and the government, they have had to do a supplementary budget which is almost a brand new budget, by significant cuts in expenditure. Remittances flows declined significantly. And this is the hardest one, colleagues. Our tourism industry, because the borders were closed, was shut down. And this had impacted over 350,000 workers in Jamaica. And of course, the dollar depreciated. So it is a very challenging time as we speak now. And I'll speak about that a little later in my presentation. So one of the things, and as the CEO of Grace Kennedy, obviously you'd recognize that this is something that I'm very, very passionate about. So when COVID-19 was really announced, and there's a lot of panic buying in Jamaica, supermarkets were filled, and people were literally panicking about food. And I thought to myself, when I was really doing the what if scenarios, the business continuity plans for Grace Kennedy, because there was so much uncertainty. What happened if this closing of borders was to last for a long time? And I said to myself, Jamaica, we need to be more self-sufficient in terms of our food. And I think Dr. Claire said it earlier. If you think about the Jamaican food and look at the left of your slide, those food stuff that you're looking at there are healthy foods, Jamaican foods grown here. So if you look at the food import bill for Jamaica, it's $1 billion US. That's the amount of food that we import in Jamaica, $1 billion US. I've challenged in the Senate, and I spoke to the Honorable Prime Minister at another function. I believe if we talk about let us have a vision, we need to cut that food import bill. We need to cut that food import bill by 50% by 2030. Can you imagine the impact that this is going to have on Jamaica, and by extension our balance of payment and our rate of exchange? And that is the sort of vision that I'm talking about post-COVID. I believe very sincerely that if we're going to hit that target, our diaspora, our brothers and sisters outside of Jamaica, will play a huge role in meeting that target. We have to, as a nation, as a diaspora, invest more in agriculture and agro-processing. That is going to be a big, big solution to Jamaica's problem and becoming self-sufficient in food security. I also want to encourage everyone to buy more Jamaican produce and products, which we export. I know I'm speaking on behalf of Grace Kennedy also, and I thank you. I thank each and every one of you on the line that are purchasing the Grace Kennedy products. We have 6 factories in Jamaica, and we produce a lot of our products that are exported, including the tropical rhythms to the USA market. And I thank you again for buying the Grace products, because we employ 2,000 people. And when you buy a tropical rhythms, it helps us to employ more people. I'm also going to wear my hat for a minute of being the chairman of JAMPRO. And I want to share this slide with you. So you may be asking, Don, well, you want us to invest in agro-processing and agriculture. Give me some advice of how. Well, JAMPRO supports the diaspora in investment through the following activities. The first thing is that they support in the identification of land for investment projects. Support in identification of land for investment projects. JAMPRO will aid you with leasing the lands you own to private sector for farming projects and development of agri-parks. And that can be done as a joint venture. You could be somebody in the diaspora that don't know anything about agriculture, but if you have a piece of land and you can identify a good Jamaican farmer with a good product, right? We could say to him, listen, I'm going to put my land in as equity, come and do a joint venture. And this is the sort of thing that JAMPRO will do in terms of matching capital and technical expertise. JAMPRO can also help the diaspora members to form linkages with distribution network, both locally and overseas. I would ask every member that is on the call, go on the JAMPRO website. It's listed there, dobusinessjamaica.com, and reach out to the professionals at JAMPRO. We have specialists in agriculture and say, how can I invest in Jamaica? How can I help this vision or this objective of reducing our food import bill from $1 billion to 500 million US dollars, right? Come we eat more Jamaican yam, potato, right? The hot pepper sauce. Let us do it, colleagues. Let us do it. The solution, one of the big solutions to Jamaica's problem is that we need to grow our agricultural sector. We have a lot of arable land. And after growing the products, we need to process them, export them, and use them internally. Education. Education. I say it all the time. My mother was a teacher for 40 years. 40 years my mother was a teacher for. And this is something that I say every time I get the opportunity. Education is a right, not a privilege. Education is a right, not a privilege. Colleagues, when we were under the disaster risk management and the schools were closed and children had to do their work at home, online, it showed up, it revealed a number of inequalities, inequities within our education system with regards to access to tools and to internet data. A number of inequalities. A lot of children didn't have a tablet, they didn't have data, they can't afford it. They can't afford it. Some of them using one child came to me, she was using his mother's phone to do his essay to submit on behalf of for his assignment, right? We got involved, Grace Kennedy got involved. And to my surprise, some of the teachers are not even equipped either for effective online learning. Some of the teachers are not effective in terms of online learning, right? But COVID-19 has presented an opportunity to close this gap. It has presented an opportunity to close this gap. Where there's a crisis, there's an opportunity. And I'm asking my brothers and sisters from the diaspora, anybody listening to this presentation here, a one-to-one. Why don't we come together with a foundation, right? Grace and staff is willing to help our others, where we can donate one tablet to one youth. One tablet to one youth. So we can give them the opportunity to learn. Education is a right, not a privilege. A lot of them are not learning, despite the help by Digicel, VM, Grace Kennedy. There's still a big gap in terms of us providing the necessary tools to the teachers and the children for them to learn, to give them a better chance to be educated and be a great national citizen, right? Youth mentorship. Let me share this slide with you. We started, Grace and staff, we started a mentorship project with the British Council through the British High Commission in Jamaica. And colleagues, it has been a total success. It has been a total success. We actually launched it in 2019 to address school dropouts and provide positive mentors for boys at risk of joining gangs and getting involved in illegal activities. And as you know, in your home country, crime is still one of our biggest challenges. We started off with 46 boys that were participating, selected by their guidance counselors, right? And I can share with you this afternoon with a lot of pride and a lot of gratitude. Gratitude is a must, right? That none of these 46 boys have dropped out of school since the program was started in 2019. Zero dropout. We had 20 mentors mentoring these boys, 7 schools. Unfortunately, the project closes in October 2020, in a few months. And I'm saying, as Jamaicans, whether they live abroad or in Jamaica, right? Let us get together. Let us get together and start a serious mentorship project where all of these at-risk youth, both boys and girls, because I have seen in some of the communities where we live here, you have 13-year-old and 14-year-old girls pregnant at 13 and 14, right? Why don't we get together? And we have online systems now, right? Let us get together, a mentorship program. And it's not the dollars, you know. It's not the dollars sometimes. It's your time that you can spend with these children and give them some guidance. Some of them don't have any fathers or mothers. Let us get together. And this is a challenge that I'm throwing out to all of you on this call. Come and pull it together, stars. Come and pull it together and start a big mentorship program, right? And we can continue. This is where we're helped by the British Council, and I give them thanks. But as Jamaicans, sometimes we need to do it ourselves. We need to do it ourselves, right? Let us get together and start a serious mentorship project where instead of 46 boys, I know what gets measured gets done. Let us set ourselves a target. Next year, come have 100 boys. Let us double it next year with the diaspora being involved with mentors. Now we can get this done. Let us set that target this afternoon. Tourism, boy, I tell you, I've always said it, there's a significant what I call concentration risk with our tourism industry. But when you see what happened with the borders being closed, I mean, I was in Mobay 2 or 3 weeks ago, and would you believe that the Jimmy Cliff Boulevard was like a ghost town? There was one little coffee shop open, Starbucks, right? It was like a ghost town, right? So it has really, really given us a body blow. And I can share the numbers with you. I don't need to go through all of them, but you can see that it's billions and billions of dollars in terms of reduction in revenue coming to the government, and the jobs lost. I got some good news today, colleagues, that we have actually reopened today, June 15th. I think there are 7 flights coming in. And just because of the 7 flights coming in and the reopening, it was reported. So it's an unofficial report, but 5,000 people returned to work today at the Montego Bay Airport, which I think is a great start, a really good start. But the heart of the Jamaican economy, as highlighted by this crisis, tourism is key in terms of us protecting that treasure of Jamaica. So we have seen some positives. We have seen some positives in terms of implemented the health and safety protocols, which I understand is robust and one of the best in the world. So, I would think visitors will feel safe coming to Jamaica. But I would like to note there also, come at your yard. Come at your yard. Come at your yard. Some of our brothers and sisters and the diaspora, when they're taking vacation, a lot of them, like Garfield, my brother Garfield, won't come home, right? But some of us go to Europe and all, Bosse place. Where's the better place to come than Jamaica to spend your vacation this summer? Where's the better place? I say, come at your yard. Visit your homeland as a tourist, as a visitor. Come check your brethren from a long time and help pump some much needed foreign exchange into the Jamaican economy. There's no better time to take your vacation at home. Come at your yard for the summer and spend your vacation. Remittances, and my colleagues in my remittance companies, they are the sponsors of this event here. I'm amazed at my Jamaicans. I mean, the loyalty and the love that they have for their family is unbelievable. Do you know, as we are 2.7 million people are going there, do you know that the inbound money coming into Jamaica for the Western Union everywhere in the world, we are in the top 10, a small little country like us, we're in the top 10. With only 3 million people. Top 10. 16% of our GDP is remittance flows. $2.2 billion is our remittance flows coming from all of you. UK, US, Canada. And in fact, my brethren from New York, I'm serious, 40% of all remittances come from 60% of the remittances come from the USA, 40% is from New York. So I want to give all of you thanks this afternoon, all of you on the call that send your remittances back home through Western Union. And we have a good story to say after this. So when there's a crisis, there's an opportunity. as you know, remittances is probably Grace Kennedy's largest business in terms of profitability now. We're a public company, that's not a secret. When this COVID-19 bust, right, our remittances were down by 30%, 30%. And we said, wow, this is serious. Garfield and Hazel and the Western Union team, Grace and Margaret and everybody, we met with Western Union and said, listen, man, we need to focus on this direct to bank. People not leaving them house in New York with all of what is going on to go to a location to go send money to family. They prefer to stay home and send the money back home through their computer direct to their recipient's bank. This is what we saw, right? As we speak now, our remittances to Jamaica is actually up. This is Western Union, Grace Kennedy. I don't know what is happening with the rest of the competitors, but I think we are taking market share thanks to all of you. But our direct to bank is up 184% in May, 184% in May. You know, so what that is saying, and Dr. Terry mentioned it, you know, when you have a vision, when you have a strategy, when you are focused, whether in business or your personal life, and you decide that you're going to work hard, you're going to see results. I was so proud when my team reported that number to me of 184%. After asking, I said, are you sure? And I said, they are 100% sure. Again, let me thank the members of the diaspora and thank all of you on this call here for supporting Grace Kennedy, Western Union in this effort. Well, listen to this bigger statistics that I have. Listen to this one here, right? We did some studies a few years ago. And why I said earlier about the love for their country and their family and their brothers and sisters, right? Of every dollar coming to Jamaica with remittances, every dollar coming to Jamaica with remittances, anywhere, let's say 90%, right? 90% of it is used to buy basic food, medication, or send the picnic them to school, right? Can you imagine what our country would be like without the remittance dollar and our members of the diaspora? Boy, I'm tired for telling you. Thank you so much in terms of taking care of your families in Jamaica, or else they would be in real crisis. Thanks again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So in summarizing my presentation, I heard that I have 20 minutes. If I was to summarize in terms of visioning and going forward, I would like to see us investing more in agricultural development. I've shared JAMPRO with you, the contact with JAMPRO Agro-Processing. Let's set ourselves that vision or that goal. Let us reduce that food import bill so we don't have to rely on anybody or too much people. And we're going to eat healthier too. From $1 billion to 500 million and maybe even less by 2030. We need to come together, diaspora, members of the diaspora, Jamaicans, farmers. Let us get together and plant out Jamaica. Education. It has shown a big inequality in education in Jamaica.
In just
Lost
a
sound.
moment.
I have lost sound.
So let's remind you in the meantime. This is Power 106 FM. I'm Durban Malcolm, and we've been bringing you live coverage of the Diaspora Day Roundtable, which is brought to you by the Jamaica Diaspora Northeast region in partnership with Grace Kennedy Money Services Western Union. The theme for this Diaspora Day Roundtable is Reimagining Diaspora Engagement During and Beyond COVID-19, Challenges and Opportunities.
Sorry, I think I'm on back.
And looks like Senator Webby is back. So let's go back to Senator Webby.
About that. We had some slight technical difficulty here, but we're back on track. So I was summarizing, I'm not sure where I got lost, Derval, but I was summarizing my presentation this afternoon. We spoke about agriculture. I feel very strongly about education in terms of us donating tablets to the students. And I really want us to set ourselves a target in terms of mentorship, where let us come together. We are held by the British Council. We are Jamaicans, we must come together and do it ourselves. We will start a mentorship program and let us set ourselves a target of 100 youths for next year. And then finally, as I would say, come to your yard for your vacation this year. No better place to come than your yard. I was saying also, and I'm not sure if you heard this part, that I say it without apology, and I'm not meaning to be political in any way, but I'm being sincere that Barack Obama is one of my favorite people. And when he came to Jamaica and he signed the book at Jamaica House, this has always resonated with me. And I said to myself, what a great country we are. When he said, it is a pleasure to visit Jamaica, known for its beauty and the extraordinary spirit of its people. May the deep and abiding friendship between our nations continue for generations to come. I think that is powerful. So in closing, my brothers and sisters, thank you very much for listening to me this afternoon. I really appreciate it. I hope I have made a difference in terms of what I have said. And as most of you know, when I make my presentations, I always finish by saying this, anywhere I speak in the world: God bless Jamaica, the greatest country in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Senator Webby. We have probably just one question that came in before. I'm going to adjust the question in light of your presentations. Folks, we have only 20 minutes for brief question and answer. So we're going to jump right in and not ask what I call super questions that could be, you could get them online from the embassy or wherever. Let's kind of talk to the gentleman in front of us here as in his three hats. He's chairman of JAMPRO, he's a senator, and he is CEO of one of the biggest companies. So here we go. Jumping. Vision 2030. So let's look at agribusiness, because you talked about that, and education sector. And let's look at them as two drivers of this vision, right? When we talk about reimagining realities, it's very much about we have lost and have to grieve the death of, let's say, one future we had imagined prior to COVID. And we must now give birth to a new reality. And we have to see ourselves as the midwives, right? And the sort of nannies of this new future we want to emerge. And I certainly have been talking and preaching to the diaspora here in the Northeast region about inclusive prosperity. And I think agriculture is a space where this can take place. So let's take it as a way to organize our question. So we're talking about agribusiness as a driver of change and education, and that goes hand in hand. How might the private sector support this vision of 2030 besides Grace that's in the food business? We have issues around insurance for farmers. First of all, we have the challenge of, let's say, agriculture still having the latent slave mentality problems attached to it, right? How can the private sector help to make agriculture sexy and no longer be seen as something of last resort? How can the private sector in the financial services sector create new, let's say, new services and tools for small farmers and small businesses who are processors and small fisher folk who want to experiment with new products, and it's not just food, it's about farming the future with nutraceuticals, from the herbs we grow, from the cerasee, from all the things that we have at our disposal. I mean, I know about stories where university professors don't have equipment for $10,000 to do a test on making a product from a root crop that they have right here in Jamaica. So what are some of the ways in which the private sector is aligning itself to agribusiness sector along all elements of this sector that you might be able to share with us?
Okay, thanks a lot, Dr. Claire. That's a great question, and that's something that I ask myself all the time. The first one, and you are absolutely correct. The history of Jamaican agriculture is based on a cottage industry where you have small farmers growing at 5 to 10 acres. And it's going to be pretty difficult to compete on a world scale to ensure that they get a proper return on the investment. So here's what is happening, and Grace Kennedy actually started it. We created what we call a mother farm concept. In other words, the private sector, as you refer to, we have a certain amount of capital, we have a certain amount of access to capital, and we have a certain amount of access to expertise. So what we did at Grace Kennedy, we leased like 300 acres for St. Elizabeth, in St. Elizabeth, Hounslow, St. Elizabeth. And we have divided that 300 into 20 acre, 10 acre plots. And we provide those farmers with a certain amount of working capital, certain amount of expertise, but most importantly, we provide them with a guaranteed market. In other words, all the West Indian red pepper that they produce, right, we will buy it from them. So they have a market, so they are clear on their cash flow. And in fact, I said it in my last presentation, and you're so right about education and farming. One of the farmers came to me and said, boy, Mr. Webby, I thank you, sir. Because of this contract through the mother farm structure that you gave me, I can send my daughter to university. I tell you, that warmed my heart because it's a win-win-win. And in fact, some of the peppers that we have there now, we're exporting them, the pepper mash, to even Europe now. So there's already a market. Another important point that you raised, which is very, very important, is the whole issue of research. Research, right? And I believe that more funding should be put towards research in Jamaica, right? What we have done, and I'm speaking on behalf of Grace Kennedy again, who I know best, we have formed alliances with UA to try and help us to develop a yam that we can package in a certain way for export. Michael Leachin, a Jamaican diaspora member living in Canada, very successful businessman and private sector person, he has invested in 3,000 acres of land, I think it's in Bernard Lodge. But more importantly, he's dividing it up in the same mother farm concept, and he's sending those young farmers to Israel, who is known for agriculture, for training. Mm-hmm. And he's sending like 50 a year. So if you think in another 5 years, we're going to have 250 Jamaican young farmers that understand best in practice farming. So it will take time. But I tell you something, it's something that we have to focus on. And my saying again, Dr. Claire, what gets measured gets done. You have to set yourself targets, and you have to measure them and ensure that you stay focused to get it done. Sometimes we create these fancy papers, and I call them thesis, but they have no end results. Yeah. You have to track these end results. That's how I run Grace Kennedy. What gets measured gets done. You have to track these and hold people accountable.
Yeah, thank you so much for that answer. I'm going to pivot to one of the questions coming in from the team beforehand. It says something, and this is for the diaspora people themselves, not for Grace Kennedy diaspora leaders. It says that, how might we in the diaspora, knowing the importance of remittances, you've seen the numbers, right? Coupled with the fact that some of us would have lost jobs. What are some other ways in which we have to pivot ourselves as diaspora organizations that have been used to just, doing what I call charity giving? Me and my passion about moving from charity to development. How can we pivot now in this new dispensation? What are some ideas around either doing a pilot baby mother farm version for young people, say, for example, in education? We already have education projects, right? What if we were to think about supporting the schools, be like a feeder to create the farmers of the next 10 years, and support a baby farm principal training project? Is this something you could tie into, for example, this mentorship idea? What is your response to what you just heard as to how we might use and work with the private sector and the civil society and the foundations in Jamaica to basically amplify what we can do with the pots of funds that we have? Anybody? Let's begin with the person in the UK. Nathaniel Pete, are you around still?
Hi. Very good question. In fact, and one of the key things that the younger generation like to do within the diaspora is social empowerment and social giving back. And so this is where I believe that we could actually then bolster groups of individuals to collectively put into a pot. And then what we could do is then look at innovative ways, again, where we've had Senator Webber speak about even using technology as a method of teaching, because then that is cost effective. Then you can actually then put videos together of experts which actually can show them how to develop these type of projects. And then where you have a macro farm, you're developing then a mini macro entrepreneurial type of ecosystem that is driven directly from younger members of the diaspora that then could have an influence in then going to Jamaica to actually help it to grow, and then pulling the forces together of private sector and then social.
Yeah, that's an excellent response, and I do support that. Dr. Kevin Brown, do you think those numbers are what I call advanced? I mean, 100 people, a mentorship program. I mean, think about, guys, we have a profile, we have a template. We know, I'm sure they have codified the program in such a way that we can create a template of what the mentorship would look like, how to profile these mentors, how to onboard these mentors, how to bring these mentors on board. We have a problem with violence. We have a problem with predatory larceny, for example, right? How can we, I think 100 is just 100. Notice the numbers. They had 46 boys and 20 mentors, about 2 to 1. So if we have 100 boys, we're only talking about 50 mentors. I'm challenging the diaspora today as we enter into August 6th. If by August 6th, the diaspora can come up and say, hey, we have identified 100 mentors. 100 mentors would allow us to reach 200 boys. Is this something that we can commit to identifying 100 mentors? Because we will have the information from the senator in a couple of days as what it would take to onboard the people, how much time they need each week, etc., and be very aggressive in saying for our independence gift to Jamaica is not going to be just a $50 in a church plate service. It's going to be a pledge of time, right? And relationship capital. So I'm putting that out here. Mr. Dr. Brown, what are your thoughts on that? Am I being over ambitious as usual?
No. No, you're not, Madam Chair, because I think that's one of the outcomes from this crisis, is that we have shown that people can go virtual, and through these virtual connections, as we are doing right now, have an impact. And I think this certainly would be a template going forward in terms of a mentorship scheme where you can find the talent, the brightest minds in the diaspora, connect them to young Jamaicans, maybe you would say emphasis more on disadvantaged boys and girls, and connect them with these diasporans and for a mentorship scheme, and I think that's certainly something that we could take forward as a diaspora, but I just wanted to quickly comment on the agriculture discussion, because I agree we need to look at food security. But I also would like to say that Jamaica needs to get the basics right, Senator Webby. If you're going to encourage people to go into agriculture, then you need to fix predatory larceny. You need to fix your crime problem. You need to fix the infrastructure in terms of roads to get to these farms. So I would say that in addition to the high ambitions, and I welcome these high ambitions, let us also get the basics right to encourage investors to feel like they could have a fighting chance of being successful as well.
Well,
Dr. Kevin, you're correct, but I guess where I'm starting from, we need to have a vision. And as you know, when you have a vision, you work back to a strategy. And when you have the strategy, you work back to operating plan. So the infrastructure that you speak about, the predatory larceny and the crime, will form the pillars of that operational strategic driver that we need to get right to get agriculture right. But we have to start. One of the things that that I've found is that when we have a vision, we start off with what we have to do, what we have to do, what we have to do. Just let us get focused. Let us set 3 or 4 things that we have to do to get it right, and we'll get it right.
Yeah, well, I would support that. I mean, I have friends who are in farming. I have been doing, by the way, that's Mr. Wobe. Well, we've been doing a Farm the Future conference in Washington, D.C. for the last 6-7 years.
Beautiful.
And it's been a painful exercise trying to get support. And I had the misfortune to attend the Ministers of Agriculture conference in Barbados on agriculture 2 years ago. And it was also a painful exercise and frustration. So I certainly have been investing my time and energy as a diaspora in investing in pushing the agenda, certainly from the point of view of the whole ecosystem, from mariculture to aquaculture to you name it. We can grow it, we can farm it, we can feed it, we can do everything with it. So Dr. Karen Dunkley, you're educator. Let's tie the two together. We have mentorship. We need to create new business. 350,000 people have lost their jobs. Even if we open the doors to tourism, with the losses in jobs and income in Europe, loss of jobs and income in North America, we're going to see a drop off in tourism. How can we tie this idea of agribusiness, mentorship, and those of us who have been playing around with new micro enterprise, social enterprise training in our high schools, etc., how can we use this moment to also look at seeing, okay, if the 350,000 people are out of work, maybe 350 of them, right? 1,000 of them are trying a thing, so to speak. And now they have land they could get access to, hopefully. Might this be an opportunity, Dr. Dunkley, for us to have a conversation after this call? Really have a conversation with it after this call with JAMPRO. Can you help us put together a more practical program that can get support, number one, from those agencies like the World Bank, the IDB, Compete Caribbean, for example, that could then have a matching fund or some kind of matching fund with diaspora to support the economic and the mental and other skills that these people might need. Some of us have partnerships with universities here in the US that are farming schools and agriculture schools. A lot of things that have to go into the system. What are your thoughts on that?
That is an excellent question. Thank you, Dr. Nelson, and thank you again to Senator Webby for bringing forward agribusiness. I think that this is a good place to acknowledge Patrick Maitland, who's our agricultural chair in the Northeast sector, where we have spent, and he's done tremendous work in terms of corralling the conversations around agribusiness. And one of the points on that platform that I discussed was, what is a pipeline, and we call it the elementary to high school pipeline around agriculture, so it's not seen as a last resort. So, but I want to, Dr. Nelson, extend your question. I know you asked about agribusiness. I think that there's a larger question in terms of education as we're responding to the pandemic. Is that when we think of education, we're not just thinking, we can no longer conceptualize it as just the 3 R's, the reading, writing, and arithmetic. What we need is the innovation, because if we have the innovation and we really compel our scholars and our students to early literacy so that they can engage in teamwork and collaboration and innovation, then they can build, based on research and competencies, the infrastructure and all the technology that we need to launch and certainly proceed into a prosperous future. And I think that we really have to reimagine what it is that we currently focus on within, especially our, we call them elementary schools, but in Jamaica, I went to Dunrobin Primary. In our primary schools, it's a little known fact that I'm a farmer. My mother has a farm in Elderslie, St. Elizabeth. We just finished the Yam Hills, which we sold, and we planted ginger. So I spend 3 months in Jamaica out the year, and I'm a glamorous farmer. And thanks to my mom, Mrs. Barbara Dunkley, she allows me to, kind of maximize her talents in terms of what I plant. But I think that the key here is a diaspora bond. I've heard conversations around how do we congeal all of the forces together, the thinking, the technocrats, the bureaucrats, the business. And I think we need to rethink the relationship with diaspora. Can we initiate a diaspora bond that focuses on education, and then that bond now is reimagining and investing in agribusiness, and possibly the healthcare infrastructure. So I think we have to be strategic and we have to think long term. And Senator Webby, you stated that we need a vision for it that includes both the macro, the big things, and as Dr. Brown discussed, getting the roads. We do not have roads in Eldorado, St. Elizabeth. It's very difficult to get your produce to market. I had a friend who had to drive up the hill, and that's the most praying we do is when we're going up those hills just to pick up the yams. And that was a decision point. He said, Karen, I'm only going up because these yams are yours. So our infrastructure, the predial larceny, and our commitment to small farmers who don't know the big man, who don't have access. This is where we need the Grace Kennedys. And I'm glad to hear about the Mother Farm, the Grace Kennedys, to get some of the technology that is coming in from all of these other places, but also education again, for us to invest in research for our own technology so that when supply chains are interrupted, we are independent and we have our own.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dunkley. We'd like to pivot just very quickly. We only have 2 minutes, quite frankly. Nyla, our lawyer, I am not sure you can answer this question in 2 minutes you have, but certainly I want you to think about it. What are some probably lessons you might have for us as you have thought about this question of violence prevention, predator larceny is tying to small business development? Are there ways in which, as we think through the pivot that we must do, that we can begin to educate young people in all high schools, in all colleges, in ways that allow them to sort of stay outside the law, and if they're in the law, rehabilitate them so that they can come out of where they are? Any ideas as somebody in that space?
So the initial thoughts that come to mind are that we need to keep our youth engaged. So ensuring that they're a part of the community, they're not getting left behind. Many of us are coming from single parent homes. And so there's a lot of frontline workers during this time who are out, and maybe the children are still at home. Some of us also come from generational homes. So what we need to really be doing is focusing on creating cooperatives within our community that ensure that our children's education are not being disrupted. If we're having to work from home or having to learn from home, ensure that we're creating more partnership programs where technologies can be maybe supplied by the school, be a borrowing type program. And then outside of the actual traditional forms of education, making sure that we create a why that connects the younger generation of Jamaicans to the ecosystems that they presently live in throughout the diaspora, as well as to back home.
Well, thank you very much. We have come to 7:14. That's a good point. I like the ideas, cooperative ways of doing things here. We cooperative here to move. If we can't do the bond, Dr. Dunkley, let's talk about the note. I've been talking about the community investment note. All of those have canceled, all of these festivals we have canceled and fets we have canceled. We have some extra money now to invest in a community investment note. Not as big as a bond, not as expensive as a bond, and perhaps, who knows, Grace Foundation might be willing to float the quote unquote the funding we need here in the US to allow us to go to the market and raise the matching amount of money. Because it's been done before. Dr. Dunweb, it's been done before, so I would love to have a conversation with you about that. It's 7:15. I just want to close up. I'm sorry we didn't get to all the questions and comments about grow what you eat, education system, doing the system, internet, all of these things. But I encourage you to reach out to your diaspora in both in the Northeast and the Southeast, as well as in London and Canada. They've organized around sectors, and they've organized around also where you live. So the sectors are health, education, and economic development. And so please reach out to your representative if you're watching this and say where you want to play a role independently, or whether it's your organization, your high school alumni, your church, your hometown association want to play a role. We wanted to thank everyone for tuning in before I turn back to Dr. Dunkley and just say that this idea of a smart future, I've been talking about the gospel of the smart future. It's really about looking at ourselves from a sustainability perspective. And as Dr. Webby says, M for in the smart is about meaningful metrics. We've got to start measuring what matters. As a former IDB refugee, I call myself that, we can't have these highfalutin numbers that nobody understands. We want a well-being, something that we can actually hold on to. Agility is the A, R for resilience, and T, transformative use of technology. So with that, I want to say Thank you so much for the opportunity to begin this conversation. We'll continue, and I pass the baton to Dr. Dunkley, who will wrap up and close us out.
Mute.
I'm unmuting. Thank you so much, Dr. Claire Nelson. As always, your brilliance and your ability to synthesize and to compel us to thought-provoking discussion is truly appreciated. We have always been a strategic people and a thoughtful people. And I think now we need certainly our actions to certainly match and align with our brilliance. On that note, Dr. Alan Cunningham, I realize that you did not have a chance to weigh in here. So what I would like to do before we offer final remarks is to invite you. Is there any one note? If you could.
Oh, certainly. Certainly, I would like to echo the sentiments of the Senator in terms of mentorship. But just to inform you that since this year, February, we started the Jamaican Men of Florida. And our focus, our mission is about mentorship. It's about providing leaders, young Jamaican men, the new generation. Brilliant.
And so also created a sponsorship or a scholarship for 100 Jamaican young men. In addition to that, we have also partnered with the Pollyanna Foundation to provide 100 tablets as well. So we are moving in lightning speed. And so far, we are on target to make these deliverables by December this year. We're happy to announce that we are also in partnership with the county in trying to devise certain programs that can enhance our mission in serving our Jamaican young men. I hope I didn't talk for long time.
Thank you so much.
Brilliant, Dr. Cunningham. You have made my day.
Thank you. I'm glad, Senator, because we have so many requests that I hope we make your day in terms of the sponsorship and the partnership with Grace Kennedy. So let me just offer some closing remarks here. Senator Webby, you have certainly pushed our thinking, and what I most enjoyed in terms of resonating with all of us was the compelling information that you presented, certainly around agriculture and food security, and this push that we must now produce more and buy what we eat. And we saw a lot of that response, thanks to everyone who's watching on the live stream and chatting with us, that is a theme. Education is a right and not a privilege, and we certainly concur. And the focus on youth and the focus for Black men and young men, particularly at risk for many different factors. We are interested, and I want to tell you, Senator Webby, I text Garfield Comrie, my good friend and partner, that the Northeast Diaspora, we accepted the challenge because we are launching, in affiliation with a big mentor group in Jamaica, 100 mentorship for youth. So we're looking forward to that conversation as well. Tourism is really huge, and you have raised that in terms of our reliance in terms of GDP. Here, I think it's important to reimagine, to think about the smart futures. What might Jamaica replace tourism with, as we saw borders closed and supply chains interrupted? So our national resiliency is really dependent on us. We have to rethink. We have recovered from bauxite. I remember growing up, bauxite was huge. And now we hear very little conversations. You certainly spoke about remittances. And I know, Dr. Brown, this is an idea that we believe in, is that remittance is not only the family to family is critical. We also have to think about how do we use remittance as a driver for more macro investments in terms of the larger economy to truly put in place the infrastructure that we need to get to Vision 2030. We must acknowledge, where is our master, our ambassador, Dervin Malcolm? We are smarter and better because of you, Ambassador Dervin Malcolm. You're a friend to the diaspora. And I have to tell you that both sides of the story is now a way of life for those of us who live in diaspora. Thanks to you and thanks to Power 106. We have to acknowledge, on this forum today, we had diaspora leaders globally. And we are here because the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade made a decision to implement a global Jamaica Diaspora Council. We acknowledge our leader, who is also your colleague, Senator Webby, and we acknowledge the Honorable Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, for having the vision to implement, along with so many partners, the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, that we can be here today, not just talking, but really thinking through actions that we will now implement to make Jamaica better, brighter, and smarter. And on that note, I just want to end with these 7 points so that we keep our eyes focused. We heard you, Senator Webby. Out of a crisis comes opportunity. And this is our opportunity to deliver on the promise that Jamaica, the land we love, that Jamaica, our jewel in the sun, can become a place of choice to live, work, raise our families, and do business. And we're going to stand on the pillars of transformational leadership as diaspora leaders, with you, Senator Webby, as business leaders, and asking government to continue to be accountable and transparent to us. We're going to really tackle social cohesion. We didn't spend a lot on crime today, but we know that crime is certainly a detractor from our prosperity and our ability to build a better way of life. We are going to end on the note, because we're resilient people, and we're thrivers, and we are survivors. But we don't only want to survive, we want to ensure that for this generation and the next, that it's not enough to say enough is enough. We're going to say never again. So my colleagues here enumerated many other disproportionalities faced here in diaspora, whether it's economics, certainly in the justice system, whether it's health and education. But we must build our own institutions for ourselves and by ourselves. Grace Kennedy Money Services, Garfield Cumbry, Hazel Mirage, you are amazing partners. I cannot begin to share with Senator Webby that you have among the best and brightest of what Jamaica has to offer in Garfield Cumbry and Hazel Mirage. So on that note, Mr. Durban Malcolm, I will end here and just say thank you to everyone, to our listeners, those who submitted questions. We will follow up with you. Thank you to everyone who participated. Thank you to everybody. If you're Jamaican and you live outside of Jamaica, walk good, one love. You are diaspora. You are the movement. Thank you. Durban.
Durban, may I just say one thing, please? Just a very quick thing. Before God and all mankind, we pledge the love and loyalty of our hearts, the wisdom and courage of our minds, the strength and vigor of our bodies in the service of our fellow citizens. We promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, kinhood, and peace, to work diligently and creatively, to think generously and honestly, so that Jamaica may, under God, increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole, not part, the whole human race. That is who we are. Little, but with Talava. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Claire Nelson. What energy, the kind of energy that can move mountains. Thank you very much, Dr. Karen Dunkley.
I think it's Instagram.
Durban, we're not hearing you.
Thank you very much, Senator Don Webby. Thanks a lot for your work, which continues, as you always say, in quoting Carlton Alexander, what is good for Jamaica is good for Grace Kennedy, and what's good for Grace Kennedy is good for Jamaica. Thank you very much for the work that you continue to do. Grace Kennedy will have to help us to get some more mangoes into the States because I hear the 600 and odd boxes of mangoes that were shipped within an hour of the process of selling them started in about 4 different areas. The mangoes were gone. Wow. So I know Grace Kennedy is in a lot of things, and whatever you touch turns to gold. So who knows? Maybe mangoes next.
Maybe.
Thanks as well, of course, to the various representatives. We have acknowledged Dr. Karen Dunkley, whose energy is so infectious. We thank Dr. Cunningham. He says he's not in good voice today, but from what we're hearing, if this is not his good voice, then goodness, we can only imagine what his good voice is. Thank you for braving whatever little niggle you're going through right now to be a part of this. Thanks to the members of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, the other members from the UK, Dr. Kevin Brown, thank you. Nathaniel Pete, thanks as well to Nyla out of Canada, representing on behalf of her co-representative in Canada, and that's Yvette Blackburn. And of course, we thank our listeners and viewers all over the globe for making it this. And I think this is perhaps the first. Well, I want to be careful how I say first, but there's something that is different or unique about the approach that the Jamaica Diaspora Northeast is taking and has taken. The fact that you have done so much work in this COVID-19 time, by the time you got to this stage, you would have accumulated so much in terms of work that you can take on even more work. You know what they say, Dr. Dunkley? The reward for more work, for good work, is more work. So we're looking forward to the outcome. It's a special month as well for the diaspora in the United States, Caribbean American Heritage Month. And there's the giant of a lady who lit that candle, which is still burning to this day. Dr. Claire Nelson, well done to you and all the others across the diaspora who have collaborated in this way. Having said all of that, in the spirit of gratitude, we want to thank all those who have been serving, who have served, those who are no longer with us, those who are still with us and still playing their part for the tremendous work that they have done, they are doing, and no doubt will continue to do. And we're not necessarily talking those who are members of, in a structured way, of the diaspora, but those who in their own way, as we used to sing in basic school, you in your small corner and I in mine. These Jamaicans organically, in the midst of all that's been happening, here we have a Jamaican, Dr. Nelson, Senator Webby, who broke another record, who created history. Young Nicholas Johnson, his mother is Jamaican, his father Bahamian. The first Black valedictorian in the 274-year history of Princeton University. That is no mean feat. And that has happened at a time when we have all kinds of race-related upheavals. And even then, a lot coming out of this as well, as we have seen and heard. And the future is here and the future is now. And there's no time like the present. Let us seize the moment. Let us seize the moment. There's a saying that says, in terms of this business of time, that never look back with regret, nor look forward with fear. Look around you with awareness. Let's continue to look around us with awareness in Jamaica and across the diaspora. Well done, everybody. Thank you very much. Thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching to our audience globally. All the very best. Thank you, Grace Kennedy Money Services, Western Union, moving money for better. And of course, the FX Trader and Bill Express. Thank you very much. All the best.
Our family and friends are a big part of who we are. Our family and friends are a big part of who we are. They are our biggest supporters and confidants, and our source of bellyfuls of laughter.
And when it comes to keeping you connected, Western Union is here to make it safer and easier with their digital services. Now your family and friends overseas can send you money without leaving home by using the Western Union app or westernunion.com. Just visit gkmsonline.com to register and share your banking details with your sender to start receiving funds directly to your bank account, so you don't have to leave home to collect. Grace Kennedy Money Services, home of Bill Express, FX Trader, and Western Union, doing our part to help you stay safe and connected to the ones you love.
Jamaica land, we love.